Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant John Solider. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
This is going to be a fun interview, folks, because nobody laughs more than Sandy Chambers, I think. And I've known this lady now for going on 40 years, and she's always had a great attitude. She's always been a pleasure to be around, work with, and always has a smile for me. So it was so nice to turn on my camera a couple of minutes ago, and Sandy was there waiting for me. And Sandy from beautiful, now warm this time of year, Winnipeg, yes. Manitoba. and we should just tell that story. We've known each other so long. I'll never forget going to the car wash with you.
I knew you were going to tell that story.
I have to tell that story. And it was April, and there was still, I don't know, 2 feet of snow in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And you had just gotten a BMW, was it?
Convertible.
BMW convertible. And we pulled into the car wash, and something happened with my car window in the passenger side.
The car wash wouldn't start.
That's right.
We sat there and it didn't move. And I said, Johnny, I'm the only one to call you Johnny, apparently. Pull down your window and ask that guy why it's not moving.
Winnipeg in April can still be a little bit cold, right?
Well, I have to say that as you stuck your head out the window, all the smoke started to come. And you got him. I did. I got a good shower. I mean, that was so funny, but one of many things. But now, Sandy, how long are you in the industry for? 43 years. Can you believe it?
Yeah, 40. Yeah. Wow. Well, congratulations. And
I started as a baby.
Yeah. You were young when you started, well, like a lot of young parents, right? Started to make supplemental money. And Sandy was featured, by the way, in Leave Nothing to Chance. And Sandy, in that book, was there a favorite principle that you like?
Well, one of my favorite principles is to be coachable. It never ceases to amaze me how people come into network marketing and they always think that they know everything, that they don't have to learn anything. And between you and me, I don't know of a profession, a job that you don't get trained to do something. And so many people come in and they bomb and they get out just as fast as they get in because they are not coachable. They don't think they need to learn. And to me, that is the one principle that it is the most important, is learn all that you can learn. Network marketing, as we were talking earlier, is the best personal development course you can take. And you will grow as a person and you will grow as a business person, and it will grow your business. And it's so important to get yourself a mentor, to be open to learning. And you know what? I was one of them. I thought I knew everything. I was a teacher. I had a university degree. I thought I could teach my owner of the business a thing or two, bring her up to date. She had been 30 odd years in the business. What did she know? And for 3 weeks, I did reasonably well. I was very lucky. A friend said, I want to put you together with, 7 people. And then I just booked from those people and those people for 3 months. And then all of a sudden, my business came to a halt. And I would not be here today if I had stopped going to meetings. I went to every event, every meeting, and I was fully convinced that nobody was wearing skincare anymore. They weren't buying it from me, therefore nobody was buying it. And when I went to those classes, Monday night meetings, people would be rushing up, the recognition was very big with that company, and they would tell you how much they sold that week. And I had to look at myself and say, what's wrong with me? It's not this product, it's not the business, it's me. And that's when I started going to everything. I went to things that are outside the company even. I read books such as, Leave Nothing to Chance, Think and Grow Rich, all those great books. I took courses on personal development. And that is why I became successful in network marketing. I invested in myself. And I really recommend that to everybody that does that. When I go to a banquet, I try to sit beside the most successful person I could find and ask them questions. What makes you great? What did you do that, led you to your success? And I think that's so important, is always learn, be coachable.
And you make you made a lot of great points there, but one of which is mentorship, because you've mentored many people who were extremely successful in the industry. But the fact that here you are 43 years in the business, you've been super successful. You've been around the world, and we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. But you're still willing to say, hey, I don't know it all. Let me sit with somebody and get their perspective, or what they're doing today that maybe is working, that I haven't thought of or I haven't been exposed to. So that's, success leaves clues, folks. And somebody like Sandy Chambers, she understands we can never know it all, especially too, let's face it, technology wasn't there when we started, right?
Exactly. We didn't have a fax machine.
Exactly.
When I started.
I mean, for anybody under 40, we used to have to mail things to companies, right? I mean, you'd sign somebody up, you get so excited, and then you go stand in the line at the post office to mail it to the company. Somewhere on my desk here, Sandy, it's a real mess. But when I started my current company 25 years ago, I did a cassette tape. And of course, you know what that is. So my son, who's now 18, about 2 years ago, he's cleaning the garage. And I've shared this story with Randy Gage and Larry Thompson and a lot of the other, Dan McCormick, Jeff Weisberg, all the other old timers that I talked to in the industry. And I said, he finds this tape, and he comes in the house and he says, Dad, what is this? And of course, I start the sales pitch, because I had interviewed the two doctors that created the product, and I'm giving them, this is where we started. He goes, I don't care about that. He goes, what is this? He'd never seen a cassette tape before. And I'm thinking, wow, have we evolved, right? Now we just, hit it on our phone, and there it goes. All the information you'd ever want to know about whatever it is we're marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Sandy, you've been in a lot of places. I mean, I know you've done a lot of traveling over the years. Have you ever sat down and added up all the countries you've been to?
Well, when you asked me how many countries, I got out the map and started to count. I stopped at 15, at least 15 countries I've been in repeatedly. There's been some that I would never have believed I would ever have had an opportunity to go to, like Estonia, Croatia, Russia. I'm glad I went there when I did, not now. But I have had, this business, that network marketing, has been so wonderful to me, because I've had an opportunity to travel the world and take my kids with me and, see the world. And I think when you're seeing it with friends, particularly, when you become really good friends. I mean, you and I have known each other for 40 years. We can pick up the phone anytime. That's what lifelong friends are. And you get so many of them in this industry. But to travel with them too is amazing. I think one of the most memorable nights I ever had was in Venice. And I saw this little table by the canal, a couple little tables. It was a tiny little restaurant. And I said, I want to eat here tonight. They had crisp white tablecloths, roses on the table. You know me and ambiance. I just loved it. And as we're sitting there, the gondola goes by, the sun is setting. Oh, wow. And the guy is singing that famous opera song that you hear in the gondola. And we said, isn't this surreal? I think I know I'll always remember that night. Wow. That was so cool. Yeah.
Wow. Is there a second one you can think of? Second experience?
I think the other ones that I've really enjoyed, well, Russia was really interesting to me because we had an opportunity to sit and talk to our tourist guide. Like, you're not allowed in Russia unless you have a guide or a Russian visa. And to get a Russian visa, you have to give up your visa for half a year at least, and while they investigate you, and then send you a Russian visa back. And so we had an opportunity to talk to her, and it was very interesting to see how they live and the cultures. I'm always fascinated with the cultures of other people. And I think traveling, you really get to, understand people on a deeper level. You don't resent their culture or their accents and things like that. If you've been there and you know what they've gone through and how they live, it's been amazing. And going to Russia and seeing the, the cathedrals and the palaces just dripping in gold, and thinking a lot of that was built after the Second World War, and their people are starving to death. It was really something to see and experience.
I bet. So let's talk about this a little bit, because you've had a great life because of network marketing. You've also raised 3 kids that are all doing well as well. They all got their educations paid for by, indirectly network marketing, right?
Yeah.
And they're all doing great. I know they're doing different things in their own professional lives. But let me ask you this. We're living in a weird time. And you just referenced it, Russia, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, obviously, what's going on in the economy there in Canada and the United States and the rest of the world. And we do have people listen to us in about 70 countries on a regular basis. So let me ask you this, Sandy. Before the pandemic, let's just say there was a family, okay? Let's say a mom and a daughter, okay? And they lived down the street from you there in Winnipeg. And they were doing well. Let's say that the daughter, let's say she's now about 25 years old, that she, went to school, did her job, got good grades, did everything that, a parent wants a kid to do, did everything right, came out of school, got that first job, was doing well. And then all of a sudden, pandemic comes, go home, no work, right? And the mom, let's say the mom's about 65, okay, 60, 65. And the mom, same thing. Mom had raised her family, spent years working in industry, whatever it happened to be, upper level management, did well, was starting to say, hey, you know what, kids are grown, maybe it's time to put my feet up. And all of a sudden, here comes the pandemic and things change. And prior to the pandemic, that mom and daughter probably had not considered our type of business as something that they wanted to do. Not that they necessarily were up on it or down on it. They just didn't consider it because they were doing their own thing and they were doing reasonably well. And all of a sudden, we have this environment where we've got tens of millions of people throughout the world who have either been displaced by the pandemic, replaced because of the pandemic, their job, all of a sudden the boss said, hey, I had 20 people doing this. I can get away with 5 doing it from home. You 15, go figure out something else. Whatever the circumstance was. So today they're walking down the street there and it's a nice day in Winnipeg, right? There's no 2 feet of snow like there is in April.
It's not snowing today.
Not snowing today. And but you never know. It is Winnipeg. But they're walking down the street and they say, Sandy's been in that type of business for 4 decades. She's been successful at it. She lives a nice life. She's a nice lady. They come over and they knock on your door and they say, Sandy, can we sit with you for whatever, half hour, 45 minutes, pick your brain because we're thinking of getting involved. We don't have a company necessarily in mind, but the business model all of a sudden appeals to us. Now, the 25-year-old has all the internet skills and all the IT skills and everything else as well that they can utilize in our business today, right? The 65-year-old has tremendous contact capital because, hey, she's been in business a long time here in Winnipeg. She knows everybody from the mayor to the police chief, et cetera, et cetera. So they both have all the things that you and I know are tangible assets. But how do you get that in their thinking so that they act on it and they get involved in our great industry?
I think when you're talking to a 25-year-old, you want to kind of use their language. Like, I don't really refer to it as network marketing with them. I refer to kind of like an online e-commerce platform. They understand that. And I talk to them about how they can develop their own team of people that are networking online. And that really seems to appeal to them. They've got what is really nice is they've got a lot of time to. A lot of 25-year-olds don't have the responsibilities that an older person has, so they have more time and financial responsibilities, I should add as well. So they might have more time and ability to build their business. With training and whatnot, they can go right to the top. Some young people think it's a disadvantage, but I have seen 25-year-olds be number 1 in their company. And today, as you say, with that advantage of technology, it's amazing what they can do. They seem to understand about all the things that you and I struggle with. Like, I remember one young girl said, hey, I'm putting this on, this form and this platform and this platform. And I'm thinking, what? So they have a golden opportunity to be their own boss. What appealed to me personally when I looked at network marketing is there's no ceiling to what you can make. In my day, being a woman, if I took the same job as a man, that man got paid more for doing the same job, the same length of time of experience, everything else. So to me, that network marketing is very fair to both sexes. Women do very well in network marketing, as you well know. And what I love for a 25-year-old is they can create their own paycheck. They can go right to the top. They don't have to start at minimum wage. And as you say, when life throws you something like a pandemic, I mean, so many people were caught with no job or sitting at home on government paying them to just stay at home. That would have been a perfect time to network. I found that the pandemic didn't change my life that much because I'm used to working from home. I'm used to being on the phone. The only thing was it was easier to find everybody because they were at home. So it was a very positive thing for me. For the older person being 65, I can personally tell you, I would much rather spend the money that I'm making as commissions than spending my savings. To me, I like the new money flowing in every day. And that's what I spend. I don't spend my savings. I want to invest that, keep that going, because in my family, everybody lasts to 96, 100 years old. So I got a long way to go yet to support myself. So the other thing that's very attractive to a 65-year-old, as you say, they're very well connected. They probably know, like, everybody's in this together. The interesting thing about network marketing, I find, is when the economy is struggling, MLM thrives.
Mm-hmm.
People are all looking for a plan B, including the new retiree or the person that was forced to retire early. It's an awesome opportunity to take that and to make it be a positive for you in adding your income to what you're taking home, if you're taking home anything. The other thing I found is the tax benefits. I love, right now in Canada, you have to, I don't know about other countries, but you have to sell your RIFs, your retired savings income, and you got to pay tax on it. So what's better than to have all the tax benefits of a home-based business to offset that? The other thing that people may not be thinking about is, I think I'm mentally more at it, adaptable than a lot of people my age. I find that some of my friends repeating themselves, or they can't remember things. And there's the odd word I don't remember either. But I think I'm so mentally alert because I'm in business. Some people retire, they sit in front of the television set, and that's their day and their night. And they are, we're not static people. We're either growing or we're decaying. So which would you rather be? And I find that I'm living the perfect life because I'm now getting a residual income from my company. I do put in a few hours every day, but I have time to go to a garden party yesterday that I told you about, or, go golfing or whatever and meet other people. So, and that's the other thing about network marketing, never feel guilty about going golfing or going to having a hobby or a club, because that's where you're going to meet people, and it just increases your business by getting out there and meeting people. Mm-hmm.
But you made a lot of great points, but there's two I just want to pick up on. One of which is, for anybody in our age group, right, over the big 6-0, we don't know how long we're going to live. First of all, I have the same thing. My father's family dies young. My mother died at 92. My aunt's about to be 92. Her sister. We don't know. Right? There's no crystal ball. But along those lines, no matter how long you're going to live, the longer you don't start to take your Social Security or your social insurance in Canada, the longer you don't take it for, the more it is when you do take it, when you have to take it. Like statistically here in the US now, I think it's up to 72. You have to take it. Otherwise, they penalize you or whatever. But, the longer you don't take it for, every year it goes up. So if you have an active income from a MLM or network marketing or party plan or, any kind of a direct selling entity like you and I are involved in, the longer you don't touch that money for, the greater the money is when you ultimately need it, so you can push it off much longer. That's one thing. And the other thing is, boy, the social aspect. I mean, we talked about this off camera, but Sandy's very involved with a lot of different things in her community. And you mentioned golf, for example. Hey, in our business, we tell our distributors, hey, go golf. Why? Go get a foursome with 3 guys you don't know or 3 women you don't know, right? Because what are they? New contacts, right? Whether it's golfing or gardening or fishing or, whatever it is, as long as it's not a solitary thing, you're always going to be meeting new people that you can share your product with. Or, gee, hey, how come you feel great today and I don't? It's 100 degrees or whatever. Well, because I'm taking thus and so, so absolutely. But hey, along those lines, Sandy, let's get off network marketing for a second. We'll come back. I got a couple of network marketing questions for you still. But along those lines, you started a second career as an actress now, I understand.
It's connections. My girlfriend dragged me into it, and her husband owns a whole block of commercial buildings, and one of them he rented to Hallmark, and he's 2 other film companies had come to him earlier, and he had paid for his legal fees, his lawyer setting up the lease and everything. And at the last minute, they bailed on him. So he wasn't really excited when Hallmark came knocking. And he said, he says, my wife wants to play in one of your movies. That's the deal breaker. And she has a friend. So he's done. They're in. So we were extras on the set, and it went from, and when you see all those beautiful Christmas lights, you have to have darkness to see those lights. And in Winnipeg, it doesn't get dark till 10:30 at night. So here we are playing. We were called in at 3:00 in the afternoon, and we're out at 5 in the morning. And 2 or 3 nights of that, and I had to recoup, let me tell you. But it was a lot of fun. I was mentioning earlier that I met an old networking friend that I've never seen before, but we've been on the phone a lot. And he sat down at the table with me and started to kind of mention about networking and whatnot. And I said, what's your last name? And I said, oh my gosh, 20 years ago, we were at each other, trying to get each other in our businesses. Never did. But here he is acting. But I met a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. So it would be a very good networking experience. I know my the hairdresser was very interested in hearing about what we had to offer. So she was one that I got back to. So it, every experience, I always say, go for everything that comes your way. It's living a fuller life, and it's fun. And now I have a clear understanding of what goes on in the movies. I'm now watching the background more than I'm watching what I'm supposed to be seeing.
Interesting. What's the name of the movie?
Christmas Disconnect.
Okay. It'll be out this holiday season?
Probably December,
Okay.
On Hallmark. Yeah.
Great. Well, how exciting is that, though? Right?
And I got a talking part. My girlfriend kept saying, I wonder if I'll recognize the actors, and I hope we get to meet them and whatnot. And so they separated us, and I got to be on the street. I'm the first person, I'm his clue. When I start walking, that's when he walks. And when he met me on the street, he says, Merry Christmas. Well, they told me not to open my mouth because my voice will carry on his mic. So what do I say? But the 20th time going back and forth, I'm going, Merry Christmas. So I come back to my friend and I said, I've got a speaking part with the actor. Just to get a rise out of her.
Hey, I can say I knew her when.
Yeah, exactly. Now she said, if we could do this twice a week, that would be awesome.
Well, I can't wait to see the movie.
I'm the one saying Merry Christmas.
We'll just think of all these networkers hearing our show around the world, and they all watch it. Hallmark's going to go, hey, we got to have those women again. You might have a real new second career.
We're advertising for them. I have to say, though, they're one of the best companies to ever work for. I mean, they were so considerate and looking after you every step of the way, and always so so pleased that we came.
Nice.
It was really quite nice.
Nice to hear. Well, I like their movies. They make nice, clean movies that when before my mom passed away, I used to watch the Hallmark movies with her in the nursing home. We'd go up and we'd watch them. Some of them she had already seen 4 or 5 times. Unfortunately, she forgot she had seen them. But we would watch them. I was like, nice, wholesome stories,
Well, the decorations are
oh,
unbelievable.
beautiful. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Like when the lights went down, when the darkness descended on that little town, because we had to go to Carmen, which is a little tiny town, an hour west of Winnipeg. And when the lights went down, it just came up like brilliant. Everything, the whole block was decorated in lights. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So let's come back to networking. Okay. You've started so many people over these 40 plus years. What's your secret? What's your magic? You get me started today. What do you tell me? How do you guide me?
Well, I get them to tell me a lot of things. I think the number one thing is to not see this person. Like sometimes people will sign them up and think, oh, my job is done. That's when your job really begins. And I call it 48-hour training, but I like to start the training long before the 48 hours. Everybody's really excited when they first start. They might be a bit nervous as well, as I was when I started, but the excitement level is at the highest level it's ever going to be. And that's when you want them to start working. And every day that passes, that excitement is dropping until they get their first sale or the first person to come in. And then the excitement level goes back up. So what I like to do right away, as soon as I've signed them up, I want to know their why. What is it that you expect from this business? How do you see your life changing with this business? People rarely, I found kind of interesting. I found this early in my career. People rarely work for money. A lot of people work for recognition and for what money can buy them, not the particular dollar. And I want to know, what is it that they expect? What is it they want? And I even talked to them about doing vision boards. I took a lot of courses on vision boards one time and actually did leadership training with it. And it's a magical thing that what you put on that board and you look at every single day, you've got a 90% chance of achieving it. So, if it's a car you want, you go to the dealership, you get the picture of exactly the model you want, put it on your board. If it's travel you want, where do you want to go? What style of travel do you want to do? Put it on your board and look at it every single day. The mind is the most important thing in networking. Like whatever you can think about, you can create, you can achieve. And if you think you can't, you can't. So it's that important to make a vision board. And then I want to know, what their first goals are. I'll set them up with a small goal to begin with. I want them to feel some success right away. It might be, make a list of 10, 15 people, 20 people, whatever, that you would like to work with, that you would have fun working with, or people that have a need that they've told you about. Let's make a list. I want to see you tomorrow. If they don't come, I give them another chance and I give them another chance. 3 chances and they're out, because you also don't want to waste your time. Some people are never going to do it. Some people will next. So what I do is I set them up to win, and so that they feel some sort of success. What we've been doing a lot of is doing business launches. And I like them to be casual, small, and comfortable. And, they're scared to talk to their people about this. They're afraid of them saying no and whatnot. So let's get them together for coffee around the kitchen table, 4 or 5 people. Let's have a launch in your house. And I will come and be the speaker. And it won't be like a big meeting or anything else, but we'll talk to these these people are usually their best friends, and say, create it like, this is what we want to do as a team. And quite often all of them join. And then now I've got 5 business launches to do. When it gets out of hand, I will have them all. I remember one group, she had 6 people come, all 6 joined. And so the next week we decided to have another launch in somebody's house. And they brought 18 people. Everybody brought their people. And then it went to 30, 40, 50. We had momentum going very, very quickly. And that's what you're trying to achieve. Momentum is key. So these launches have worked very, very well. It doesn't cost much to put on a cup of coffee, and even during the pandemic, you can do it online like we're doing on Zoom, have your launch like that. But that's basically how I like to get them started. I ask them to be coachable. I ask permission to coach them, because if you start telling people, oh, well, it'd be better to do it this way, a lot of people might take that as that you're criticizing them. But if you've asked, is it okay to give you a tip, or is it okay to coach you? Would you allow me to coach you? And they say yes, then everything you say will be taken properly. It'll be taken as it was intended to help them grow. And I learned this from my very first company. If you have to critique somebody, you critique them between two thick slabs of praise. It's like a sandwich: praise, critique, praise. So it would go something like, John, you are a master at this business, but if you just tweaked this little bit, I bet you'd have the best invitation going, something like that, so that they feel good when you're finished talking to them. And then as they get you want to know what their goal is as well, because if you're talking about them making 5,000 a month, but they're looking at 500 a month, they don't think 5,000 is believable. And vice versa. It's an insult if somebody wants big bucks and you're talking to them about an extra $100, that's insulting. So you want to know where they're at. You want to make sure that their goals are realistic. How much time do they have? And what I like to do is set them up a roadmap. We know our comp plans of the companies that we're in, and most comp plans are really good roadmaps. This is what you do first, this is what you achieve, then you move along. But you want them to have their expectations in check so that they're not disappointed right away. Network marketing, the one good thing and the one bad thing about it is it's the cheapest business to get into. Nowhere else can you get in for less money into your own business. And yet the bad thing about it is it's easy to leave because you don't have much money on the line. If you had bought a franchise of millions of dollars, you wouldn't be out the door with the first no. You would be learning over and over what it takes to make it a success. And that's what we hope to do, is by showing them, leading them from one small success to the next, right to the top. And that's how I get my people started. I show them that, this rank is where you want to be, but this is what we have to do to get there. And this is going to be about the amount of time it's going to take you. And I'm with you every step of the way.
Wow. Great. And what's so nice about that too is you give them a roadmap, and they also know what predictable income is, right? As they achieve those ranks, this is what you're going to make. So then they can find that time. They can, not watch the hockey game that's on tonight, or the baseball game, or, whatever else it is that they got to sacrifice to put that time in, which is great.
I had a lady once, she had a handicapped child, and her goal was that she had a full-time job, a very good job with the post office. But her goal, she noticed that the mothers of these children did better when their mothers were stay-at-home moms than when they were working moms. And her goal was to make as much money to replace her income so she could stay at home. And she said she put her child to bed at 9:00 every night. And she said it was so easy just to collapse and go to bed herself after she got her child in bed. But it was that knowing, if I do this, I'll be at the next level and I can make this. I'm this much closer to staying at home with my daughter. And that is what kept her going over the months leading up to when she finally did leave.
Let's go back to something you mentioned too, recognition. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but you probably do. You and I were in Vancouver together when we were working together in a company many moons ago.
Is that the time that you gave me the hairdryer was actually a towel?
Yes. Okay, tell that story first, then I'll tell my story.
But it killed you. Okay.
Remember, I had two older sisters. So you and Arlene and Joan and all the women I worked with, it was like, that's just like my sisters. Hey, go ahead, tell that story. It's kind of funny.
Anyway, as you were saying.
Well, you asked me, can you find me a hairdryer? So I brought you a towel.
Of course I have a hairdryer. I'll give it to you tomorrow if you need it.
Exactly. But let's go back to that, because you sponsored into the company we were in there. You sponsored a guy who had been the top recognition 1 year for the company that you were in prior, and it was a female dominated company, if you remember.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
And we sat down and he shared with us, right, like his strategy, right along with everything that you just shared there about recognition, how he would buy inexpensive jewelry, right, as an incentive. And he said, and this was eye-opening to me. I was a lot younger, but I didn't have the experience that I have today, that it's not all about the money. And me as a guy, it was all about the check. Honestly, it was like, okay, I get rewarded. I don't care about, like, to this day, and you'll appreciate this because you know me so well. And I stayed at your house so many times.
Diamonds.
I can lose anything, right? So I've had so many pins through the years from different companies, right? The last event I was supposed to go to, I was supposed to wear my pin for being the top rank and, Grand Poobah and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I had to borrow one from my friend Sandy Wolper.
Yeah.
I called. I said, "Do you have an extra one?" She's like, "Yeah." I go. She's like, "Where's your?" I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know what my last check was. But that's now I don't know whether that's a male perspective or a me perspective. It's probably a me perspective as much as it's anything. But to that point, let's go back to that, because he made an interesting point. You made an interesting point on recognition, and you've been so good at it, and you grew up in the industry in a company that was really, really good at it. And your current company, I understand, is really, really good at it. But talk about that a little bit, that not everybody works for the check. That's, yes, we all want the check, right? But that there's more to this to get somebody to reach those incremental steps that will eventually lead to the income perhaps that they want. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, when you think about it, not everybody gets recognized. Very few people get recognized. Like, for example, if you're working in a job, for somebody else, how often does your boss come and say, "What a super job you're doing today, John"? He probably will come and say, "Did you get this done yet? Or did you get that done yet?" People are seldom recognized. I know the business that I was in, they were always looking for housewives to enter the field into direct sales. And, I would clean the entire house. Would my husband notice? No. I would spend the whole day. Everything was immaculate. It was beautiful. He wouldn't notice it. I mean, very few people got recognized ever in their life. And so the whole thing is, people, when they are recognized, they want to do more recognition. And it actually promotes them right through the ranks to the top, because they want to be on stage. They want that trip. And more important than the trip, they want people to know they're taking that trip, And I know when Rob, the man you were talking about, we used to have gold rings. And when you had to do something to get the gold ring, and then you would add a diamond for everything that you did. And it was called an added diamond ring. And people would turn themselves inside out to get the diamond to go with the ring. It was just, and it didn't cost as much. I mean, as you say, it was kind of more like costume jewelry. It looked like good stuff, but it didn't sparkle like the real thing. They were real diamonds, but low grade. So it didn't cost as much to give them out. We made a lot of money from what they had to do to get it. And it was a win-win for everybody, because they were so excited to be wearing all this jewelry. And, but it was mainly the recognition that people were dying for. And it's true. I mean, before a big event, most of your people, I know I teach it, say, the fall, we're going to have a big convention. Where do you want to be on stage? Are you going to be in the back row watching, or are you going to be on stage getting recognized for something? And people will work, even myself, I've worked hard to be on that stage for that particular convention.
Exactly.
This is what the rank I want to be at. Yeah.
In now, I've interviewed about 80 people on this show. And one of them was Paul Blanchard. And Paul is now the president of the Og Mandino Foundation. His dad helped start that. And anyway, they do a lot of work with the Og Mandino Foundation and Og's books. But prior to that, he actually was in the registration office and process for the Jack Welch Management Institute, right? Like who goes there? CEOs, CFOs,
Yeah.
right? Like super elite management, super, high level management people in corporations. And I asked him that same question about that in reference to Jack Welch. I said, what kind of guy was he? And he said, well, let me tell you, he was big on recognition. And I said, how so? And he said, Jack Welch, now picture this, he's running the largest corporation on the planet at the time. And he would get word that like this department had saved the company, 5 cents, whatever, for, 5 cents, let's say on screws or something, right, that they were using for whatever it was they were making. And he would actually stop a board meeting. And he'd say, hold on a minute, guys, I got to make a call. And he'd call that manager and he'd say, hey, get your team around. And they'd get their team around. And all of a sudden it was like, they had the CEO of the company on the phone and just to like yell and scream, hey man, great job. You all did great. What did those guys feel like and women feel like when they went home and told their spouses and their kids, well, I talked to Jack Welch today, right?
Exactly.
Jack Welch called me. Now you may have been one of 100 people that he called in the room, or maybe 1,000. I don't know. I wasn't there. But to your point, how important that is from a humanity standpoint, because most people don't get recognized enough, right? They don't get recognized at home. Their spouse doesn't thank them for cleaning the house or making dinner. Their kids don't thank them for taking care of them and driving them to school.
Yep.
Their boss doesn't thank them for showing up, right? And all of a sudden in our industry, it's the reverse. Hey, you did a good job. Here's a trinket. Here's a plaque. Here's a whatever. And it's so important to building people until they get ultimately to the point where you're at and I'm at and some of our colleagues are at, where, okay, now it is about the paycheck. Okay. But in those smaller steps, it's just so important, so great.
Well, it was actually the recognition that kept me going, because when I thought nobody was buying skincare anymore, I'd go to the meetings and they're recognizing people for $500 a week, $1,000 a week, and I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute, it's real,
Exactly.
When you see people on stage becoming diamonds and sapphires and stuff like that, you think, oh my gosh, people like her, what, I used to think, what makes her so special? How did he or she get to that level? And that's, my girlfriend once said, that's the best part of the convention, is listening to these people get recognized and listening to how they did it.
And I'm going to recognize you right now, Sandy. I'm going to take your picture for Facebook. But and to that point, another clue to Sandy's amazing success all these years. Go to the meeting. Why? Because if you're up, you can bring other people up. But if you're down, and 40 years plus in my part in the industry, 43 in your part, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's times where you're just not getting the job done for whatever reason, whatever the thing is, and you go and you hear some distributor has been in the business 6 months, and you go, what's that guy doing that I'm not doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. What's he waking up and eating in the morning? And then you hear 15 of them, and you go, okay. It's me. I'm not working. I'm not doing what I know I should do. And if you're experienced, and we have very experienced people listen to these calls, you know what to do. If you're inexperienced and you're fairly new to the industry, right? Do what got you started that worked and go repeat it again, on and on and on. Read good books like Leave Nothing to Chance, where you can hear Sandy's story, or my prior book, Moving Up 2020. And in these books, by the way, you've got about, between the two of them, about 30, 35 stories of people, including Sandy and other people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, worn the distributor's shoes, folks. This is about distributors. This is about free enterprise, capitalism, and all those other great things. But it's about you as an individual growing your best product. So, Sandy, I'm going to give you the last word. Talking to all the people who are listening to us right now, all your experience, 43 years. All your success. By the way, you look great. In case you don't think skincare products work, I know how old Sandy is.
How old I am.
I'm not going to say, but when I realized your oldest kid, who I know is 52, I can do math somewhat. So skincare definitely works. You look great. Okay. And I'm just so blessed that we can even spend this time together, because you're so knowledgeable, and you always have been. You've always had so many gifts to give. But
thank you. And I think the knowledge comes from actually being in the troops and doing it and doing it and doing it. And I think what advice I'd give people is just keep learning and just keep working at it, because, one thing, I always read a book, a motivational book, 1 month. That's my goal, to keep me on top of things. I don't know what it is, but when I'm reading motivational books, my mind gets far more creative and more up, and it just puts me in a better place to do business. And I think that if you just keep working at it and critiquing yourself. I know that after every opportunity meeting I would drive home thinking about what I could have said, what I should have said, not beating myself up, but thinking what worked and what didn't work. And I would record it afterwards, write down, maybe it was the turn of phrase that was really good or a good close. That was another thing. I learned how to close people. I'm actually known as the closer in my group. Because I found that if without clothes, you've got nothing. So I would just say, keep tweaking what you're doing so that you become better and better, and make your batting average better on how many calls you have to do to get a yes.
Exactly. So what's next for you? I know what's next for you now. You got your acting career, you've got your network marketing business. What's next?
Who knows? I'm still thinking about that since the pandemic. I've lost my desire to travel during the pandemic, and I'm thinking that maybe now that things are lightening up, it's time to get back on the road again and do something. But I'm still at it, and I do. I'm totally, kind of at the retirement age, but I still put in a few hours every day at my computer and working the business, and then the rest is fun.
Mm-hmm.
So life is good.
And the golf game's getting good.
I keep trying and trying. That's what keeps you coming back. One good shot.
You'll appreciate this. I tried to play golf. And you know me, it's like my whole life's been around really aggressive sports, right? Wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu and everything. And so I tried in Florida a couple of years ago, and I hit the ball and it rolls down by the water. And I was in Orlando. So I go down to get the ball, not thinking, I'm going to go get the ball and hit it. A crocodile looks at me from about 2 feet away from the ball is. And I'm like, I think I'm going to let that crocodile have the ball. And that was the end of my golf game. It was like, that was it. I've played putt since with my kids, but I've never played again because we were in my head this crocodile,
We were in the Kootenays one day trying, golfing in that, and we heard the rustle of the around our ball in the woods, and it was a bear.
Yeah.
The ball. It's only a couple bucks.
Exactly. The bear win. That's great. Well, Sandy, this has been a privilege and a pleasure to get together with you, and
fun reconnecting with you.
Just so much insight, though, always. And you're always, from the first time that we met all those years ago, you always had an amazing ability to teach. And just in these 45 minutes or so, there's so many things that you taught. So, folks, listen. And as I tell everybody, when you listen to these podcasts, take notes, because everything Sandy said, once it goes in your notebook, you own it.
That's right.
Thanks so much, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me, John. It was great.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Solider, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.